Alright guys, I just got back from seeing the Purge 2 Anarchy, and I have two words. Omar coming. First of all, let me just tell you right now, if you haven't seen the first Purge movie, it doesn't matter. Everything you need to know about it, you can learn from the trailers or just from people talking about it, you know, if your friends are constantly talking about the Purge, I guess. But you don't need to have seen it to know or understand what happens in this movie. Basically, the first Purge movie does set up the same premise of this movie, which is that for one night every year, there's a night where you get to purge, meaning all crimes are legal. So you have one night to get on your pillage and your plunder to get yourself through the other 364 days of the year, basically. Overall, I thought the movie was a lot better than I was expecting, but I will say my expectations were extremely low, like in the basement, in the toilet in the basement, in New Jersey low, like really low expectations. So with all that, it wasn't that bad. Now the first Purge was actually a surprisingly huge movie. It cost about $3 million to make and made more than $36 million in its opening weekend, so making a sequel was kind of a no-brainer, regardless of how people felt about the first one, or whether they thought it was basically an overdone panic room. This one, the sequel, is much more the Hunger Games meets the Purge, I guess. In the first one, it's focused much more on a home invasion situation with people trying to make it through the night during the Purge. In this one, it's focused on a group of people trying to make it through the night while they're out in the world in the Purge, surrounded by all these crazy people who are getting their purge on. So there are a lot of elements in this film and even specific scenes. Without getting into details, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there are specific elements that I thought were directly lifted from the Hunger Games to an extent that I was a little bit embarrassed for the filmmakers. I was just like, guys, you could have disguised this a little bit more. So this movie also tries to deal with a lot of issues of wealth, privilege, class warfare, conspiracies, all that kind of stuff. It completely lacks subtlety with regard to that because it's essentially a video game movie with the people trying to survive through the night, you know, our protagonists, surrounded by a city full of crazy people with machetes and guns. It's basically different levels and different bosses at every level that they have to defeat in order to survive. They also try to delve into issues of the value of your life based on your socioeconomic status, but again, this is essentially a horror movie. It's not some kind of like deep PhD thesis about class warfare. Obviously they aren't very light-handed or subtle with the way they do it, but they do their best. There are a lot of really scary people out there during the Purge, you know, the various bad guys of the city, a lot of crazy guys with scary masks and skateboards. Not skateboards! There's all sorts of different groups of bad guys, again, going back to the video game, you know, different bosses at every level. But I do think that they didn't do a very good job of paying off what a lot of these bad guys were after. You know, the most obvious thing would be that they just want to kill people because it's Purge night. But in terms of actually seeing that through and seeing what their motivations were, some of them were paid off in very lame ways, in my opinion. Be prepared to watch a very fatiguing, exhausting movie because tracking these people trying to make it through the night and all the various obstacles and bad people they encounter just gets a little bit tiresome after a while. You're exhausted for them. I wouldn't say that's so much a credit to the filmmakers as it is just wanting the movie to be over. But all in all, if you have absolutely nothing better to do this weekend and you can maybe catch a show like a matinee for a couple bucks less, I'd say go for it. You're not going to be pissed off that you saw it. It's just going to be, you know, a random ass day at the movies. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend and you were planning to see it, I say go for it. If you really just have the bloodlust, go ahead and see The Purge. You'll probably like it all right. If you're on the fence, maybe wait till it's on VOD or, you know, Redbox or whatever you kids do these days. I don't know. All right, guys. So in a nutshell, that's what I thought of The Purge. Let me know if you've seen this. Maybe you're watching it a couple days after we uploaded, or if you're planning to see The Purge 2, or if you don't think you want to see it at all and think it totally sucks. Either way, leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe because it's polite.
I just hope one day in a court of law in real life, somebody can use the I was just getting my purge on defense.
Yeah, like it'll be an amendment.
Yeah, exactly.